Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, depending on where you're from. It's 11 o'clock here in northern Thailand, and we're about to do our classic Kung Fu training midday. Thanks for joining us. You are welcome to train along with us if you know some of the moves. I'm going to be teaching some of it a little bit later, so maybe you can tune into that, and you can start practicing at your home, and then maybe even come join us. All right, thank you. All right, line up, everybody. 2 lines, just to make it balanced. Yeah. Maybe slide over. Maybe slide over a little this way. So everyone's on the yellows. Yeah, there we go. Feet together. And bow. Okay. And just so you know, in Kung Fu school, we always bow with our eyes up. We always keep our eyes on our opponent. You don't want to get kicked in the face, right? No one's going to kick you in the face here, but this is the idea. I know in some cultures it's more polite to bow with your eyes down, but in the classic Kung Fu, we always bow with our eyes up, just so you're aware. And we're going to do our midday, which is going to consist of some grinding exercises, vein tendon Qigong, and if you don't know it, I will be going through it with you. We'll be starting some tiger crane, which is some Chien for most of you, and then we'll do some conditioning training up at the gym, and then we'll come back for some more conditioning training, and then we're going to do some pushy hands and some sticky hands, okay? But to start, we're just going to warm up our body a little bit, so let's start with some jumping jacks. All right, and rotating the shoulders forward, switching which arm is on the bottom, if you can. Really just trying to loosen up those shoulders. And now going backwards. And now in and out. Right, we're hugging ourselves, giving ourselves some good love here. And loosening up those shoulders. A lot of what we do here involves the shoulders. Just want to make sure they're nice and loose. And let's roll the wrists. And go the other way. And now grab them together. Same kind of idea, making a figure 8. And going the other direction. And now shaking them up and down, side to side, and then shake it all around, loosening up the whole part of the body, right? Yeah, keep it loose. Okay, and just some turning, loosening up that spine, let those arms flow pretty loose. Really concentrating on that spine, turning around on the Tai Chi pole. All right, and push-ups. Feel free to, if you can, do them on your fingers or your fists, but you can do it on your wrists, and you can also do it on your knees, whatever you're most comfortable. Try to do 10 if possible. And whenever you're ready, stand. And we're going to start to open the hip up a little bit, so get this rotation with the knee. As much movement as you can get. If you can keep the hands up in a guard, even better. Works the core a little bit more. And changing directions. Changing legs. Again, opening up to the outside. More or less using that knee to help create that opening. And switching directions. And give them a good shake. Both of them, loosen it up. Next, we're going to do some monkey squats. So you can stand with your feet shoulder width apart or a little wider is going to be easier, especially if you've never done it before. Open up your left foot, and then you're going to drop your right knee forward if you can. Right, and try to come down. Yep, and if you'd have to do this, that's okay. Eventually you want to work to get to this position, but it's pretty advanced. Right? Come up, and then open that right foot and come down with the left. And to the best of your ability, we want to keep that foot down, trying to face somewhat forward. But again, this can be kind of difficult if you've never done it before. Right, now come up. And now, again, but moving at your own pace, no need to hold. Come up and let's do some vein tendon Qigong. So this is Bodhidharma's vein tendon. Do you feel comfortable doing it on your own? Yeah. So you and Joe can do it. And then the three of you, do you remember it? Okay, do you feel comfortable doing it on your own or do you want a refresher? Okay. Yeah, so come on up. You can join us as well. So the first one is squeezing out the essence. And the idea is, you weren't here this morning, but we start, and 4 of the 5 exercises we're going to be in what's known as a horse riding stance. So the feet face in, right? And then we want to tuck that tailbone. So a common mistake is people do this. But really what you want to do is just that, right? Just get that tailbone down without really pulling it forward because that puts a lot of tension and then we tend to lean back. And by pulling that down, it pushes the knees out this way. So we're not bending too far forward. It puts a lot of pressure on the ankles and the knees, where more of the knees are coming this way, right? And that's going to create the tension in the fascia and the legs. So we're going to exhale, we're going to inhale, calm. Very relaxed. And on the exhale, I'm going to describe the bottom first because we're going to do that the first 4 times, or the first 4 exercises. And the 5th one's a little different. But what you're going to do is you're going to relax on the inhale. On the exhale, we're going to start stretching. And by stretching, I mean pulling everything apart without trying to fully engage the muscles. We're trying to pull the joints apart. And what we're going to pull into the diaphragm or lower dantian. And that's going to pull the pelvic bone up and kind of tuck the tailbone down a little bit more, which is going to push the legs out and create this pressure along here. If at any point you feel any kind of pain, back off of it a little bit, right? So that's what we're doing with the lower part of our body. The upper part of our body, we're going to make a fist. Thumbs are going to be into our side, right? And we're going to, again, stay relaxed on the inhale. And on the exhale, you're going to try to bring those knuckles all the way to the floor, opening up the joints. and stretching out the fascia, right? There's also something to do with the face, but we haven't really covered the face yet, so don't worry too much about that. It would be more of a frown than a smile, although we always like to see smiles. It's more like this, where you're activating the fascia here and in the face. That's a whole class in itself. So you start with a frown, and then go this. You're obviously too happy because you're in a constant smile. So here we go, right here. Any questions with that? You also want that chin tucked in, right? This is squeezing out the essence. Yeah, right? And we're gonna inhale, and on the exhale, stretching everything while you're pulling into the lower dantian, pulling that pelvic bone up, pushing the knees out, and relaxing on the inhale. So keep going. What we're looking for is this kind of elasticity type feeling. So when you release it, things kind of bounce back like a rubber band. You stretch the rubber band and you release, and it comes back to form. This is tonifying our fascia. Relaxing on the inhale. Try to avoid sinking. You're really coming down with your knees. You don't want to do that. It puts too much pressure on the knees. The only thing that's moving is the tailbone, and the knees go this way. So we don't really want to be doing this up and down too much. There's a little bit, but do your best to keep your eyes open. We want to have our eyes as open and taking in 180 plus degrees if possible. It's part of the Sum Chien face that we're using, which obviously you guys haven't been taught, so I understand. So let's do one more. All right, so typically you do 9 of each exercise. We're teaching, so we only maybe have time for 7. Maybe you did a few more, right? Next, keep in the same stance. We're going to come up, and you're going to bring your hands to shoulder height, and the fingers are going to come slightly forward, and the elbows are also going to come slightly forward. And this one's called rock spreading its wings. And rock was a prehistoric large bird. And the goal here is, again, we're going to push the energy out, but we're also pulling the elbows forward. So that stops me from straightening my arms. So you're going to feel that tension all the way around the shoulder and in here, right? Any questions with that? Everything the same in the bottom. Same with the head. Try to keep it in. We're trying to pull the head up as well as everything else. So we don't want to just compress it down like this. We want to keep it up, right? Inhale, relaxed. Exhale, pushing those fingers out while also pulling the elbows forward. Feeling that stretch in the shoulders. And relax on the inhale. Inhale, relaxed. Exhale, stretching it up. Really use your visualization to open up the joints. Imagine your arms going to the other side of the room. Visualization creates actualization. And relaxing. Both are looking very good. Can't see you at home, but I bet you're looking good too. And really pull into the lower dantian. On the exhale, the tension starts here, and then that pulls the fascia from the fingers and from the legs. Do two more. Right back. If you can, try not to wiggle the head, just drive it up. I know sometimes I do it, so people copy me, but I do it kind of poorly sometimes. You just want to drive the head up, yeah. Okay, and relax. How did that feel? Were you able to feel the tension? Yes? No? Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay. If not, it's okay too. Just let me know. Yeah. You've done this before though, multiple times. All right. So this next one I feel is kind of the easiest one to feel that spring back. And it's 2 pillars into the ground. So you're just going to have your hands at your side. And we're going to do that same thing where we're stretching out, really trying to open all the joints, even in the fingers and in the wrist and here. So the idea here is stretching, not flexing, right? But it looked like you both were doing a great job of that. I didn't really see the contraction of the muscles so much. So this is good. Same thing, pulling in from the core, pushing out as you tuck the tailbone and pull the pelvic up, pushes the knees out. And then here we're just trying to create that separation, right? Exhale, big inhale, stretching down. Visualize those fingers going into the ground. Try to feel that separation of the joints and relax. This one, there's usually a popping back that occurs in the shoulders when you start to get good at it. Relaxing, remember to relax on the inhale. And really drive it down. And then relaxing on the inhale. Try to relax a little bit more if you can. I'm not seeing any movement in your arms except for this. If you relax them, they're not going to be way out here. Yeah, see what happens when you relax? You want to be relaxed. Otherwise, you're not really stretching the fascia. You're just keeping it at the same level. So we want to be as relaxed as possible on the inhale. And then just driving it down. Shouldn't really pop out here. There's really no need for that. That's engaging too much of the muscle. Going. If you can get your head a little bit more back. Yeah, you're kind of like this. So you want the head straight up and then the chin tucked in. Yeah, like that, yeah. bit more of the chin. You're kind of coming a little bit forward, right? Yeah, a little more in. Kind of straight neck a little bit, yep. I mean, very minor. Your posture is very good, especially for day one. Yep. Okay. Well, visualization, but really trying to, you can even tell yourself, relax. In the beginning, it can be kind of difficult because you're not used to a horse riding stance. Okay. Yeah. So maybe doing some stretching before or when you can. If it's a chronic issue, I'm not sure I can just give you one little piece of advice that's going to be like, you know. You can try thinking like maybe you're resting on a ball and you're sitting on a ball, so then you don't have to have so much tension to get everything in place. You can try to think also with the head being pulled up to kind of pull that area apart a little bit instead of compression. Right? You can release the belly fully. This can oftentimes relax the whole area. So often we're holding our belly for whatever reason, right? So really allowing it to release and kind of have that pot belly, if you will. I mean, you're all very thin, so you don't really have that, but this can also help. Great, yeah, awesome, you know. All right, let's do one more. Plus, if you can get a lot of movement, sometimes, because there should be some tension there as you're kind of tucking that in and pulling the pelvic bone up. The release can be kind of difficult, but the more you stretch it, the more relaxed it should become over time. Next, we're going to do 2 dragons chasing the pearl. So the easiest way is to come up with your hands straight up. And then try to turn your hand over while keeping the elbow facing down. So instead of turning the whole arm, trying to do this. And if you're like me, your hands aren't going to be perfectly flat, but we want to try to keep the elbows down as much as possible. They start to flare out like this. We're trying to keep them down because it's teaching us good function and good movement. When we do, it'll make more sense when we start practicing the Sum Chien. We don't ever want to do that. It puts a lot of tension on our elbows and they click together and it can cause damage. So we're going to do this, and now we're going to stretch as far forward as possible while still keeping the shoulder in the socket, right? So I don't want to be doing this. I want to keep the chest up, which will stop the shoulders from coming forward, but then I still want to be getting that stretch, right? Stretching the arm, opening up the joints, opening up all the finger joints. Same as before. Take a big exhale. On the inhale, relaxed. And on the exhale, pulling into the diaphragm or the lower dantian, while also stretching the fingers across the room, really engaging. Pulling that pelvic up, getting those knees to go out to the side, relaxing on the inhale. And sometimes when we relax, the elbows want to come out, so just focusing on keeping those elbows down, but you're both doing a great job of that. If you can, maybe straighten the arms out a little bit. You're kind of a little bit like this. Come up a little bit more. Okay. Yeah. Looked like you were maybe leaning back, but Sure, keep going. You're leaning back slightly. You're leaning back slightly. Yes, there you go. Just like that, yeah. Once you've finished, go ahead and start the grinding if you haven't already. The whole thing. There's 3, and you do each one 9, and there's 2 different ways, so it should be 6, 9 times. Let's do one more. And again, going for that elasticity in the fascia. And there's a couple good reasons that we do that. One, get the synovial fluid to come into the joints to lubricate it, but also tonifying the fascia helps chi flow better, opens up the meridians. This is all the things. It's also better for protection and alignment of your joints, as well as even your organs. So the fascia wraps around all your organs, your brain, everything, right? So we want to strengthen that web, and it'll ultimately just strengthen you. And I'm giving very brief. I could go much longer in that, but we're going to move on to the next practice. We could do a whole class on fascia, which I think Master Ian does. And yeah, exactly, building up that fascia. It's part of the iron shirt, Qigong. And it also helps us get that springy power, right, that we're trying to get. So we stay nice and relaxed, but also have tonified fascia. So the last one, your feet can be straight or even open. We're going to do a squat. So it's drastically different than the previous 4. Here, our main focus is just to try to open up our spine and stretch our spine. So we're really using our visualization. The arms are out, but just as a counterbalance. You don't really want to engage the arms at all. And you're just going to inhale down, right? And then as you come up, keep the chin in and really push through the top of your head. Imagine the head going all the way through the ceiling and really pulling that spine apart. You don't have to worry so much about bringing in your stomach into the lower dantian. We're just trying to work on the spine. Now, go as low as comfortable, but if at any point you kind of find yourself doing this, you can stop right here, right? You can stop at any of these points. We just want to keep our back relatively straight because we're trying to drive the energy up. And as you can probably tell, if I'm here, I'm not driving the energy up. I'm kind of going this way, and we want to go straight up with it. So it's not about how low you can go, it's just about keeping that spine as straight as possible. Any questions? No? Okay. Very easy class. Yep. So inhaling down, and then exhaling up. Driving that head, get the chin tucked in, and really driving that head up. And then relaxing, inhaling down. Really imagine pushing that head all the way up through the ceiling, relaxing. This is stabilizing the sky, holding the sky to stabilize the earth. You're not really visualizing anything on the way down, just being, yeah, relatively both ways. It's really more driving the energy up, not so much pulling it down. Yeah, on the way down, just be as relaxed as you can. And then really driving the crown of the head up, which requires the chin being tucked in. And go ahead and do 2 more. that's the main tendon, 5 exercises, ideally 9 times. In the beginning, oftentimes you have to take breaks. It's okay, right? The big flaws are usually people flexing too much and then they're not getting the oxygen through. Just do the best you can. Any questions about any of those? Yeah, I would say you're, yeah, well, it's as far in as you can go and still keep the knees from coming in. This is more Wing Chun stance, and our knees are gonna stay up over the feet. So for most of us, that's, this is a pretty tight angle. If it's feeling uncomfortable, I would say widen the stance slightly, because if I go straight down and then come in, this is quite restricting, and we're here, feels much better for me. More if you can fit your shoulders between your ankles instead of right down from your ankles, right? Yeah, I would say even. Yeah. Oh, good. Good. Yeah. If you can feel that up, because it's generally in the inside that you feel that. Yeah. 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 Working that fascia. Yeah, on the inside of the leg. So next we're going to do grinding. Feel free to grab some water. And next is the grinding exercise. So did you ever do this? All right. So you can be my partner, and you two can be partners with each other. Or I was going to go with Kasha, and you can go with your friend, or vice versa. I can go with you as well. Okay. So first we're going to start in a walking stance. So a walking stance is the heel and the toe are in alignment. Hips are facing forward. And if your right foot is forward, the feet are facing 11 o'clock. So if this is 12, they're just facing 11, right? Both feet are facing the same direction all the time. Yeah. Correct. So this creates the tension in the knee. We use this stance in our tiger crane. If you were to feel what that tension is in the knee a little bit, right? And if you open it up, it's gone. So, other right hand, thumb to thumb, but the palm facing you. So, other side, yep. And you're gonna start, no, you keep yours like that. You're gonna turn your hand around, yep, and push towards their heart. And they're gonna offer some resistance, right? And then once it gets close, she's gonna turn to the outside. No, okay. So it's like a block. So I'll do it the other way. So you push on me, turn your hand around, push towards my heart, and then I'm gonna do this. I'm turning it to the outside, and then I'm pushing back, and they're offering resistance. And now she's gonna turn to the outside, push towards my heart, and I'm not gonna let her touch my heart. And now I'm gonna push, and we want to engage the whole body. So you keep pushing towards the heart. So keep pushing towards the heart. Don't push towards the outside. Let the other person push you to the outside. Yeah, and you want to offer resistance. Yeah, and you rotate the hand around. So once you've done this and they're pushing, you rotate the hand towards you. And now I'm going to turn my waist, keeping that elbow in as close as I can, and now I'm pushing. And I want to push with my whole body. I want to engage my feet. I want to use my core. Ideally, we want to make each other sweat here. Make them kind of work for it. Yeah, so don't do that. Your energy should just go here and make her push you. No, you don't turn, that's what I'm saying. No, you don't turn. Yeah, and you keep pushing that way, and now when she starts pushing, you turn your hand, and you offer resistance, and now you turn.
So I keep pushing towards her arms.
Yeah, you don't push out here.
So you imagine like 60
Yeah, and then you offer resistance as she pushes you. As she turns, and now it's her turn to push. And then switch sides. So switch hands, I'm sorry. Switch hands. Switch your stance and switch your hands. So again, you start with the left, thumb to thumb, palm facing you. Right? And go ahead and push. So you can, yeah, Mano, you can start pushing and then, all right. So left foot forward. Yep. You two could probably get a little bit closer. Yeah, not super closer, but a little bit. Nice.
stronger on the left. I think.
It feels stronger.
Yeah.
Well, I see you're wearing it.
Sorry, it's like, used to be my weaker side. But then I went for physical therapy on the left.
Ah. Okay, one more. So typically we do 9, but I'm going a little slow with my teaching. So now we're going to change again. And now we're going to do something a little different. We're still going to, yep, right foot forward. And now we're going to do circles this way. So you're going to start with just a half circle. Yep, so you're both going to start with a half circle, coming down here. We're trying to rotate around the elbow as much as possible. So we don't really want it straight. We want it more bent because this is what a block would look like. And we're rotating around that elbow. And then we're going to go up, offer resistance, and we're going to keep going all the way around. Right? And now they're going to go. Offer up some resistance. And we really want to engage our whole body. So if you watch my hips here, my hips turn with my body. Now they're turning again, and now they're way over here, and now they're going to turn back. So I'm really using my feet, I'm using my hips, my core, keeping that elbow in as much as possible. And ideally we would go 9 times each way. Absolutely. What's that? You're using, yeah. Okay, more explanation? Yeah, so here I am. Yeah, here I am. I'm using my core. I'm engaging my core so it's not all like this. And I'm using my hips and my waist and I'm pushing through my leg. So I'm not just doing this with my arm. I'm turning, so I'm teaching my body to work as one unit. And now they're gonna do it. And I'm gonna even turn a little bit here as I'm offering resistance. And the more you can keep your elbow in, and the more you can use the rest of your body, the more power and strength you can get through. Right, and you want to offer up whatever resistance you can. You can even be gripping your toes. Nice use of the core there. Yep, hips. Try to do that. If you can, try to keep your hips facing me. Yeah, it's because of the way your stance is. Yeah. Yep. Right. And now let's switch arms. So we're going to switch our stance. right? Start with thumbs facing each other again. Yep. And you do a half circle. I don't know why we do the half circle, I'll be completely honest. It just kind of gets you into position, and then you come around and try to rotate it like that. Yeah. So the hand rotates all the way down so that when you're coming down, the palm is facing down. Yeah, you want the palm facing down. Nope, both people should have the palm facing down. Because we're not going to do a block like this. We want to be like that. Yes. Yes, use that waist. Awesome. Right? Try to keep your waist facing me if you can at the end. Rotate it around. Yep. Use those hips. Yes. That's what we want. All right. And now we're going to do the other side. Switch back to right, but now we're having pinky, pinky. So now you can initiate pinky down. So pinky goes that way. You always start with the palm facing you, right? And yeah, pinky goes down. Same idea. But just a half circle. You want to turn that around, and now we're coming back. So you're basically doing the other direction. Yep, just like that. Keep going. Yeah, keep going all the way down. Turn the hips. Yes. That's going to be how you're going to get that through. If you can keep the elbow in, yeah, this will be easier. Yeah, using those hips as much as possible. Right, and switch sides. Same thing. And you can, yeah, either way, it's fine. Nice, yes. Try to use that waist as much as possible.
Is this too for the other person to come up? Do I also do the leg thing, like the waist thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, see, so I can do this and then it comes back. You don't have to, but the more you can engage your whole body, the better. This is what we want. It's building up the muscle, but it's also teaching us to use that whole body as one unit. Okay, if you can, try to use your core a little bit more and try to have your hips facing her instead of like this, because then you're just using your arm. Yeah, because your stance, you want your hips to be facing your opponent.
Yeah, so over here.
Yeah. Yeah, like that. And then you can use the turning of the hips and not so much just the arm.
Use the turning the hips.
Yes, that's how you actually get the strength. So you're really just trying to keep that elbow in. And yes, you're using some arm strength.
So you keep the same position when you're using your legs.
Yes, legs, whole body, hips, trying to move as one unit. That's a major part of this practice is. Yeah, yeah, you want to have it wide enough that your shoulders can fit in between your feet. So you have wide shoulders. And you're tall, so sometimes a narrow stance actually disbalances you. And you can sink down and
When I stand long, I lose my tightness in the fascia on the inside.
that's okay. That's okay, because really we want the support in the knees. You don't necessarily want to be too tight. Only when we're doing the vein tendon do you want that. But when we're just standing and walking stance, you don't necessarily want that tension, except for in the knees. Okay, so let's move on to the next Sum Chien. Unfortunately, we don't have a ton of time for that because I went pretty long in that. I was kind of slow teaching today. I don't know why, but hopefully it was helpful and was able to like sink in a little bit. So Sum Chien, by all means, have some water. Grab some water. It's pretty hot and humid. I'm going to grab some water, and then we're going to talk about the tiger crane, right? Which is the kung fu. Yeah, yeah. And there you can see it's a nice cloudy day. And looking out, you think it would be cool, but it's actually quite humid. We've now really starting to get into the rainy season. It was raining all night last night, all this morning. So quite humid, quite sweaty. Not nearly as cold as it might look. It's quite warm. All right, tiger crane. So the first part of the tiger crane is Sum Chien. It's very important. Master Tan would say, who was Master Ian's teacher, if you can master Sum Chien, you know 90% of the art, right? So we teach it first, but we don't expect you to become masters right away, but it's that important. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to get into a walking stance, right? So the right foot's forward. It can be easy to get on a line because then you know your toe and your heel are in a line with each other. And again, the feet are going to be facing 11. Hips are going to be forward. We're going to have our hands right at the top of the hip bone there. Master Tan called this the Qingming, but there's some debate about if that's actually called the Qingming, right? But in this school, that's what we called it, because that's what Master Tan called it. And the goal here is to take a big inhale, hold it, relaxed, shoot it out. So nice and slow, just like this. Start out nice and slow with me, right? Getting that turn. This is what we're looking for, right? And then we're going to go faster, right? So exhale out, inhale, but try to hold the breath. Yeah, we're still going to be, yes. You're still holding the breath. You're going to hold the breath for quite some time, right? So inhale. Now we're going to pull the fingers, pull the shoulders back and down. As you pull them down, rotate the hands around, right? Obviously we're going slow, but we'd still want to hold our breath here. And we're trying to create a V. So with your pinky, you're rotating to the outside. And the elbows are coming as much to the center as possible without collapsing our chest.
The pinkies to the outside or inside?
Outside.
The big outside.
No,
No.
like that, but you're rotating it to the outside like this, right? And our elbows as much to the center without collapsing, right? I can get them really close, but we want to keep that chest up. At all times, you keep the chest up. Even when we come out, we don't want to do this. Keep that chest up, keeps the shoulders in. We're getting a stretch right here with the fascia. We're not really like trying to pose or strengthen, use the bicep. We're more trying to get a stretch here, and that helps strengthen the fascia, right? As you can tell, there's a theme here. We're all about the fascia. And you pull in here to your abdomen into your lower dantian when you can no longer hold your breath, right? Don't worry so much about making a noise. If you make one, great. If you don't, it doesn't matter. The point here is to just relax. Ideally, yes, but that's a class in itself. But if you can do that right away, awesome. I just try not to overwhelm people too much in the very beginning. But yeah, if you can do reverse abdominal breathing, that's ideal. So pull in a little bit. You don't have to pull in so tight, right? Because we still have to get air in there. So pull in a little bit. And now pull it in as much as you can. Right? Try to have it be explosive, the exhale. So not a, right? It's more a, yeah. It's that tension there just being released, and it actually massages your organs, right? So that's step one. Now we're gonna do it again. Open up that right foot, step forward with the left. Same thing, inhale. Pull those fingers back, pull those shoulders back and down. As you do that, rotate the elbows towards the center, rotating the hands towards the outside, creating a V, holding that, pulling in, right? Releasing when you can no longer hold that tension. Obviously, you don't want to pass out or hold your breath to the ultimate, but as long as it feels comfortable, right? Now we're going to take another step with the right foot. Inhale, chest inflated, keep it inflated. And now we're going to take a step back, right? Take a step back with the right foot. Don't go too far back. Key with the stepping back, this is what I find, is if I just bring my foot to the outside, and then once it starts to get to that 1 o'clock or the 11 o'clock, it's usually in line with my heel, and then I can just turn my heel, right? But if I go straight back, now my stance is really short. So I always advise people to come out wide and then turn. And we want 60% of the weight in the back, right? And 40% in the front. So that if we needed to, we could lift the foot up, we could kick, we can defend. If all our weight's here, it's a little more difficult. We'd have to shift the weight. So 60% here, 40 here. Inhale. Pulling the fingers, pull back, turn it around. Right? Inhaling, bringing it here, taking a step back. Take a step back with your left foot. And whenever you're ready, right? Shoot it out. Again, pulling in the fingers, pulling back the shoulders. Then, you don't turn them over until you've already pulled the shoulders back and down. Then rotate the hands around. And we want to keep our hands below our shoulders. Yes, much better. If you can keep the elbows a little more forward. It's difficult for women because of biological issues, but you know, if you can, face me. This is center. Yeah. Yep. Bring back those shoulders. Turn it around and keep them a little bit shoulder height or lower. Yep, try to bring that chest up a little bit. Your chest is kind of down like this. Yeah, this allows the shoulders to come back so we don't collapse like this. We want to stay up. That way we can take, if we were to get hit, you can take more hits, right? And then 3 steps forward, 3 steps back. That's the beginning part. It's really the nuts and bolts of it. The rest is just the opening and closing. So you can start from a horse riding, open the left foot, step forward with the right, turn in that right foot, right. So I'm going to do a little thing here, take another step forward. Right? And now squeeze my fist. Yes, and then you can release it as you turn it around, but the pull back is that. Try not to lean back. Yep. Pull your hips back a little bit. Yep. And then turn it around. Let these be below. Yes. And same thing. Take your inhale. Okay, now pull in your fingers. No, don't turn them around. Just pull it in. Just pull in your fingers. And now pull your shoulders back to squeeze my fist, and now pull them down. As you do that, it'll release my fist a little bit, but just pull your shoulders down. Try not to lean back, right? So you pull them back and down, and then that's when the elbows turn around. Yeah, like that. Trying to get that V. This is the best I can do. My shoulders are a little tight, but some people can get them all the way out. But you're trying to create a V here. I'll do the same with you, and then we're going to head up to the gym here. So go ahead and take a step forward. So try to close that. So when we're taking a step, open this foot here. Keep your hips forward. Don't do this. So get into a, stand on this line with me. Yeah, so come onto this line with me. Have your heel on the line and your toe, right? Yep. We want that front foot in. Our hips are facing this way, right? Now open up that right foot. Step forward with the left foot and turn. We land on our heel ideally and then turn it in. But I keep my hips facing this way. Yeah, and then, all right, and now squeeze your shoulders back to squeeze my fist. And then pull them down and rotate them around. So instead of doing this, rotate in, pull them down, and then bring the elbows towards the center as you rotate it around, instead of just doing this. Because when you do this, there's no tension here. We want the tension coming through the whole thing. This is what works the fascia. Come back, down, and then bring the elbows towards the center. So don't drop, don't keep the arms relatively straight here. Fingers in, pull back the shoulders, pull them down, and then rotate the elbows in. And then bringing these pinkies as much as you can to the outside. Yeah, there you go. And now we're gonna go to the gym. You'll get more lessons in that. There's a lot going on there. We haven't even talked about the face.
I go forward, I just rotate this first.
No, open the front foot. Yep. And then just step forward on the heel, if you can. And then turn the heel so it's matching that. So 11 and 1 is what we're thinking about. And 12 is our hips. And 12 is straight in front of us. And trying to keep them shoulder width apart. That's the tricky part. Okay, now we're going to go on up to the gym, do some conditioning. We're only going to be there for about 15 minutes. Oh yeah, some real old school Kung Fu stuff. Yep. So, Joe and Tuba, how do you guys feel with this exercise? The ones that we're going to go do. Do you feel pretty comfortable?
Yeah.
Do you feel like I don't know how much of it you would actually know, Kasha. What we're coming up, like, do you remember the partner routine at all? Yeah. Okay, so because there's limited space, it's hard to do 4 at a station. Joe, would you mind maybe assisting Kasha? And if you have any questions, then ask. Yeah. Obviously ask. But I think you've done some of the conditioning before, so we now have a new regiment to really guarantee that, because people always were kind of like, I'm not sure what to do when it comes to conditioning. So now we've really streamlined it, and heads up. Just because they tend to get in the way of everyone coming and going. So now we're up into the gym, and we have 4 different stations that we're going to operate on. Yep. Remember, you're really just trying to whip it down, not trying to push it as much. Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Yeah. And we're going to start over here at this station. We're going to start with the general's poles. So I will kind of warn you, go easy your first few times on the poles. You don't need to hit them super hard. Ideally, we want a little vibration, a little movement, but it doesn't have to be as hard as you can be, right? Especially in the beginning. But this is kind of classic old school Kung Fu training here. I'm just getting the timer ready so that we're not here forever. Okay, everyone in position. All right. And come up and stand in front of a pole. Right? Huh? You can, but then you're going to have to slide over. We're going to face it this way. I can be in the middle if you prefer, and then you can use this pole. It's quite all right. Are you ready, Joe? Okay. Go ahead and begin whenever you're ready. So we're going to keep it simple this first session. So feet parallel, step forward with the right foot. You can work on your stance work here. Ideally, we want to be in a walking stance. Inner block, lower inner block. So ideally, we want to hit kind of the edge of our forearm bone there, right? I don't know the technical term. And then grab it, right? And now change. Change your feet, hit the other side, grab. We don't want to just go back like this. We're trying to engage the core and get that pulling, right? And then we're going to do an upper block. So an upper block comes across the body and up. And then grab. right? Change feet, upper block, grab. Yep. And now we're going to stay up, inner block, grab. Change sides, inner block, grab. Now we always start where we ended, so we start up, but then we're going to go down for a lower crane block. Right? And grab. And switch feet, lower crane block, and grab. Right? So that sequence again, inner, grab, lower inner, grab, upper, grab, upper, grab, upper inner, or just an inner, grab, grab. Now lower crane. So the lower crane comes across the body and here. Yep. Just like what we were doing with that grinding exercise, trying to keep that elbow down as much as possible, because this isn't such a great block. This wouldn't really create the block. If someone was hitting us like this, probably just come back into us. So the best of your ability, trying to keep that elbow down and rotating around. Right? Comes out and then you rotate it. Grab. Yep. Not so much here, have the fist is down. Yeah, if you can. Yeah. Yeah. Right? And then again, switching feet, if you can, right? Grab. Grab. Now we're going, and now you're learning all the blocks, right? So try to, instead of this way, yeah. So this would be the block. Yep. Grab. Now coming across, grab. This is that inner block, grab, lower crane. Coming across it, and there, yep. Grab, coming across, grab, pull. Inner, lower inner, I should be more specific. And lower inner, upper. So we always start from where we ended. So we ended up, so we start up, right? Up. Now we ended up, so we start up, but we go down. And if you can, try not to have your body like this. Try to keep your hips squared. And relax. We always want to keep our hips facing our target. And we're moving them, right? We're going to move over to the next station. Your water. Here we're just going to hit the bag. Get ready and begin. So here, you hit that bag. You can do, strikes. You can use your open hands, palm strike. You don't know too many other strikes, but you can try the elbow, right? Right? You can try some combos. You can try some of the things that you did in the defense class this morning. I'm not sure, but maybe you did smack, hit someone in the face. I'm not sure what your moves were, but you can practice them. The block, back hammer punch. Again, I wasn't in class, so I'm not sure which ones. You got some chops. You can get punches, move around. You're welcome to do kicks if you know any kicks. right? This part's to work on our strike, but also just get some good cardio in. And relax. Moving on to the next station. We're going to go out this way. So that one will make more sense the more classes you take, the more striking combinations you take. Yeah, because then you know what kind of things to do. So this is the bamboo. See if the bamboo is too heavy. Some of them are quite heavy. So you want to hold it at the end. And begin. So what we're going to do, this is proper old school Kung Fu. You want to keep the wiggle. So go up, go down. And go down. Go up, go down. When you have, you know, is really tough. There's not a lot of movement there. Right? Engaging our core, getting a good stance. I always feel this in my arms, especially around my elbows. Here, you want to try this one? Yeah. So this one, see if I can get a little bend. A little bit. And switch sides. Right. One up, one down. There's one. This helps us get the springy power, teaching us how to get the energy into the bamboo. So don't just try to lift up and down if you can. It's really trying to get this explosive movement, and that's what creates the whip. You can choke up on it if it's a little long, right? Next, we're gonna go left to right. So switch stance, right? Right foot, no, you had it right, you had already switched. You may wanna face a little bit that way, just so we don't like put your bamboo over there, so we don't hit each other. But again, just little movements. We don't necessarily wanna do this. This isn't really getting any energy through. You wanna try to get this explosion, right? So it's not about how far you can move it from side to side. It's how well you can get that wiggle in there. And that just happens from exploding to one side and then kind of stopping. And then the vibration goes in to the bamboo. And that stopping requires strength in our core and in our stance. So we really want to use our feet, use our core. Everything's engaged here. The beauty and challenge of this practice is it doesn't get easier ever, because the better you get at it, the more whip you get and the harder it is to hold. And so it requires more resistance because there's more whip. All right, let's switch sides. Same idea, side to side. Again, trying to get that explosive movement really coming from the lower dantian and coming out. Okay, relax. This is really old school Kung Fu right here. Yeah. Takes a minute to get used to how to move it, but yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so there's that excitement of like, ooh, yeah. Get ready and begin. Yeah. Not much time for water in between, unfortunately. So here, we're just going to do some different striking. We're just conditioning our hand. What we're looking for is to make an indentation and not just push. Obviously, there's going to be some movement when I punch it, but I'm not doing this, right? Because that's a push. So if it's too hard, like the actual substance, you can just lift it up. That'll kind of soften the sand. Other people have been hitting it. Sometimes it gets kind of compacted, especially for the first time. But we're conditioning our hands as well as teaching us to get that springy power through. Because springy power will dent the bag, not just push it. And if you can get, you can change your feet if you want to work on your stance work. Punch off the lead foot. See if you can get that whole body engaged, right? Ideally, we're using our whole body, using the waist, right? For those at home, we want to use everything. I'm stepping, using my hip, driving up from the floor into the bag. I'm also conditioning my fist and learning how to hit with a punch. I'm strengthening my wrist at the same time. And if you want to try, you can also try now with a little bit of the side. You can do a little side. This one takes a little bit of getting used to. And now you can also try the palm, right? So you can hit with the palm. I do recommend maybe getting this last little push in, but hitting with the base of the palm is the best, right? Driving that energy in. The first breaking we usually do for everyone is with a palm strike. It's considered the safest. And then another technique you can do, the slap. So slapping the fingers. So going back and forth, really trying to get the knuckles and get the fingers. This might be kind of sore at first, but really trying to make good contact. Afterwards, you're going to feel it in the fingers, which is good. This is going to strengthen them. And then make sure to get the other side. And unfortunately, it's all the time we have up here. So now we're going to go back down. Take a break, everybody. Let's go. Grab your stuff. Put the poles back. Close the gates. Yep. Are they both? Yeah. Nice work, Tuba. And now we're going back down to the training area to do some more conditioning. This has also got our sweat on. Okay. Thank you, Tuba, for closing the gate. And now we're going back down. Yeah, so that's Master Ian's house up there. And the concrete around that are all the places where he has his turtles. So he has quite a few turtles. Yeah, 73, 72, something like that, yeah. The big ones are actually tortoises, and they're desert tortoises, so they don't really want the pond. But the other ones have ponds, yeah. The turtles all have ponds, all have water. These little habitats. Yeah, all tortoises are land. They don't have the webbed feet. So they're not really participating in too much swimming. They do some, depending. But turtles are amphibious. They want more of the water because they have the webbed feet. But tortoises, not so much. At least my understanding. Because they have separated fingers. So they can't swim nearly as well. But all the turtles, yeah, they have water. There's a bunch of different ponds up there. Or if they're in a little section, they just have a little pond. They're all separated as well. Yeah, they're quite... the same species are generally together, but a lot of them are separated. In the big area, there is some crossing of the species where the big pond is. At least there was, but they might have changed that. But they're friendly species towards each other. So the big desert, African desert ones that are the big ones, the male will attack other males. And sometimes he even attacks the females if he doesn't realize it's a male or a female. So you can't really put two of them together. They're very territorial. The one will just kill the other ones. So they actually have been separated, the few males. All right. Thank you, Joe, for your assistance. Moving on to the next stage. We're going to do a little more strength building and then some more conditioning, Kung Fu style. So here's these weights. If these weights are too much for anybody, you're welcome to come over here. I'll just grab a couple and use these bamboos. Unfortunately, they're not as, or maybe this sticks will be better. When they were wet, they were definitely heavier, but now that they're dry, but these brown ones are going to be a little bit heavier. So go ahead and pick a station. We're going to start at the weights. And we're going to go through. All right, so for the first one, go ahead and begin. No, help her, yeah. So here, we're going to start with backhand, forehand. Backhand, forehand. So more forward, not so much over your head, not so much this. This is a different movement. More in front of you and in front of you, right? Trying to use our whole body, engaging our core, using our legs. Right? Teaching our body how to move. This is also a lot of the movement that we do in the weapons have similar movement to this. Right? So we're teaching ourselves how to swing the sword better, how to use our body as a whole unit. And last one, and now you're going to go up, up. Right. So we're building muscle movement here as well as muscle strength, especially in the shoulders. I also feel it in my core, and I'm engaging my legs. Right. And last one. And now we can work on our blocks. Starting with the right arm up, left hand down, coming across. Right, rotating around those elbows. Again, we can use our feet. You can use that tension if you're in a horse riding stance or in a walking stance. You can use that tension and then use the core and your hips to move. So it's not just the arms, right? I'm getting my whole body to move. And now reverse. So now we're doing a different block. Right now this is more of an upper block. That other one was an inner into a lower crane. This is more of an upper. Ideally getting that rotation around the center on our spine, on the Tai Chi pole, the Qigong vessel. And then we can do a little hold the hands out, work the forearms, and our grip strength. If you keep the elbows in, it's a little harder. And relax. Switching stations. Next, we're going to come over here. I just stopped there. Right? So come on over, grab one of these. This is the hardest one, so just grab one and you're going to hit the forearm. Hit the edge of the forearm. This is a way to condition the forearm. Not so much we want to hit the bone. Yeah, hitting the muscle isn't going to do anything really for us. So what this does is it deadens the nerves a little bit so it hurts less when you block. It also strengthens the bone by making little microfractures that then allow the calcium to come in and make the bone stronger. So kind of double function. And you want to make sure you get both sides of that bone. You're more than welcome to sit down if you want. I usually sit down because we will be doing the shins as well. Right? You'll see some people hitting the muscle here, but honestly, it's not the most greatest use of your time. It's not totally wrong, but it's just not going to get the effect. Yeah, well, what'll happen is you make little microfractures, and then the body will fill that in and make it stronger. That's why oftentimes they say if you break your bone, it grows back stronger. This is the ideology behind it, right? This is part of that. You know, and make sure to get both sides. Activating the bone marrow is always good, like blood cells and whatnot. And then we also want to get our shin. So you can hit as hard or as soft as you want, but there's no need to really kill it. And that's true with all these conditioning. It's better to do it 100 times and be okay, so you could do it the next day, than it is to do it really, really hard for 10 times, and then you can't train again for a week because it's all bruised and damaged. So Kung Fu means long, hard work over a long time. So that's the way we want to think about it. And go ahead and switch. We want to think, I don't want to do this one time. I want to do this every day, or 3-4 times a week. And over the course of years, it'll build up and become quite strong. And like you were saying, it's not just for fighting. It's good for your bone marrow. I didn't know that. It's good to know. So there's a lot of effects. You heard it here. She was saying it's good for the brain. Go ahead and switch. Switching stations. Yeah, there probably is. So I would soften up these bags. We're going to come over here first. Go ahead and begin. Right. And we're going to use this for our hands, so make sure that they're soft. And if it's really loose, you can kind of do what I did, which is something like this, which can make it so it's a little more concentrated. Right. And a nice combination. If you can, it's a little further away, so horse riding can be a little difficult. But we want to try to, again, use our whole body if we can. I'm not trying to kill it. I'm just trying to hit it, using my whole body. So you do a chop, palm strike, back of the hand, back hammer. And then go to the other side, right? You can see it's going to feel a little tender the first few times you do it. And you can get this kind of nice little rhythm. Now everyone has their own style. This is a good way to teach your body to move as one unit. Some people just want to work a specific thing, so they'll only do chops or they'll only do palm strikes. This is a well-balanced. Since it's your first time, you can learn it this way, but you can also change it up. You might see some other people doing it slightly different. But we always want to try to engage as much of our body as we can. And if it at any point gets too hard, you can just fluff it up again. And then if you end up with bruises afterwards, that's when you want to use one of the balms. Either a tiger balm, or if it's a little deeper, you want to use a snake or a scorpion balm. We used to have a secret recipe that we used for conditioning, but unfortunately, we've had difficulty getting all the herbs. They become quite rare. You can get about 16 of them out of the 20, and that's even with our contacts in China. We've gone to this scorpion and snake balm for the deeper bruises and joints and ligaments. Anything surface, Thai balm is going to be fine. And relax. Switching to the other station. Yeah, it can be pretty intense. So I recommend starting with these kind of smaller ones. And if you're feeling comfortable, you can use this one. Remind me of your name. Esther. Thank you. And first thing, we got a few seconds here. So this is, again, going to do the same kind of thing, conditioning the shoulder, or conditioning the forearm, the bone, and the shin. Go ahead and begin. So you can just start here, and you can just kind of roll it along the edge there. If this is too easy, you can kind of bounce it up. If it's too light, you can grab a heavier one. And this is just, again, same kind of thing. Try to get it on the edge of your bone instead of just your muscle. If it's on your muscle, you're not really doing anything. You want to try to get it on to the bone. Yeah, right? You might even feel it hit a few nerves. That's what we're trying to do, is deaden those nerves a little bit. And if you flip it up, now you're actually hitting the bone, just like we were with that. Yeah, and now you can try something. We want to get the other side. So now we're going to put the other edge of the forearm. Here you might even see some crunchies or feel some crunchies from like any kind of scar tissue or built up tissue. Again, try to get it on the forearm, not on the bone, not just on the muscle. And then here's the big one. That's really the challenge. So now we're going to roll it along our shins. So we can do a few different feet placement. You can start with the feet really wide open. So the toes really out to the side, and then just roll it down. Roll it back up. Again, if you're not feeling enough, you're welcome to grab a heavier one. Usually the feet open is kind of easy. Do this a few times. And then bring the feet straight up, or at least a little bit more in. Noticing here, you might notice a difference. Again, you should be feeling something. Slightly uncomfortable. If you're not, you are encouraged to get a slightly heavier one. And then bring the feet in. For some people, this is the worst. For other people, it's not so much. And you're almost done. Are you able to feel that? Okay. This one, not so much. Yeah. And relax. Put away the toys. Take some water. And then we'll begin some pushy hands. These thicker ones are heavier, but this one with no sticker on the end is the heaviest. Just to be mindful for any future time. The ones with the sticker are still sand, and this one's concrete, so it's the heaviest of all of them. And next we're going to go to pushy hands. So I would recommend Joe and Tuba to start with each other. And Kasha, come up here. Do you remember sticky hands or pushy hands at all? A little bit. So you're going to want to get into a walking stance, very similar to the grinding. But the point here is we're going to keep touch contact with our hands. Our wrists is where we're trying to have touch contact. Now you can roll in and around, right? And we're going to want to get the other person off balance. So we can't move. We want to sync our energy. So wider stance is better, right? Especially for the taller people. And you just want to kind of get her out of her stance, right? So you're kind of feeling each other's energy, trying to maintain touch contact as much as possible, but you're allowed to roll the hands out of the way, right? If you need to grab, you can, but it's not the best thing. You want to stay relaxed, because if they're not relaxed, you can just do that. So what we're really working on here is touch, like feel, touch contact. So we want to become familiar and really use someone's energy against them and be able to control their energy, right? So, and if you're looking at your hands, you're going to be slow in your reaction time. So it's better to be looking like over the shoulder, or you can try with your eyes shut, right? Stay relaxed. Right? Use the touch. Don't just look at the hands. See, now you're so stiff. Move the energy. Don't just resist, because if someone's stronger, they're going to overpower you. So that's not good technique. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. No, you can't.
So what would be the way out of this?
Well, first, don't let your hands get into that position. You don't generally want to cross them over, because now I'm vulnerable. Now I'm trying to show you something.
I'm sorry, yes, I know.
You could push me here, right? There's not much space for me to go. So you want to think about that. We don't just want to do this. I'm thinking about where can I get an opening? So you're resisting here, so I can pull you here.
So if I resist, okay,
because you're not going to overpower me,
Right.
but you're trying to, right? So we want to use the energy to move them.
Okay, so you do that a little bit. And then what do I do?
Roll your arm out. No, under. Yeah. And now you can push on me. Yeah. Right here, like, look at, you're not even thinking about an offensive move. You're gonna just move my energy here.
Right.
But why would you do that? That's not gonna get me off balance. Push the energy towards me or away from me, right? Right?
Under somehow.
Right. Yeah, why are you pulling my energy away from me? Yeah, you're making it easier for me. You're doing this. Yeah, you're doing this. Like, I want to keep you up. It's like, no, you want to try to push.
Someone off something.
Yeah, you're trying to get them off their stance. You try to keep those elbows in. Right? See how I did that? I turned, he pushed, I turned, and then I can just bounce it back because I've compressed it, and now I can come out with it. Yeah.
That's gonna take a while.
Yeah. And try not to look at the hands.
I tried to look here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
And it's so easy. If you spring, it's like, so, okay, so we're here, right?
Yeah.
What should I do?
Spring.
Me?
Yeah. Yeah. Spring. But don't come out. Sink.
Sink.
I spring, but I don't come out.
Right.
I don't go.
Right.
I go. I sink. I use the counter of sinking to come out. Right. Again, you don't want to be so stiff. And you don't want your elbows out here because then you can use the underhooks that I just used.
That's what I come on here. Okay, so I go out and in, but it's not moving.
Yeah, because I know what you're trying to do.
Right. So okay.
So you got to do it faster.
You gotta move on.
And you can't just, that's why you don't want to push.
Right.
You want to use springy power.
Oh, yeah.
You want to get the power through
Okay, so
because you can't
what
stop
should-
that.
When someone is already in that place where you can't do that, what that person should do? What should I do?
Get the hand out of the way. Don't let it get into that. You're already kind of screwed. You're already screwed right there.
Right.
Especially because you're so stiff. So you're going to offer up the resistance, but if they're good, they're just going to pull you forward. Because you're like pushing everything
For
forwards.
your life, yeah. Okay.
And get into a good stance. Go wide. You're tall. You got long legs. Maybe not that long. Heel, toe. Your foot should be here. No, your toe should be there. Yeah, that's hips facing me. No, see, you just did the same thing. You keep doing this. Look at my stance. This is your stance.
Okay, so how wide this way?
Yeah, you want the toe and the heel in alignment with each other. That's really wide. Yeah, that's probably plenty. But your hip should be facing me. So when you do that, your stance isn't very good. Your toe should be there. But your hip's facing me. Yeah. Right?
No.
Okay. Salute your partner.
Thank you very much.
Change it up. Yeah, change up. Yeah. Come on, Tuba. And go ahead and begin. Don't forget to salute your partner when you're done. Not such great technique by me, but rotate your arm around. First, be relaxed. Right? Rotate it around. Get it to the outside. So if you're pushing here on me, I come around. I can rotate it around. then you're not going to be able to keep. So even before I get to here, you're already starting to roll around. Not just drop because you lose contact, but trying to roll the wrist around, right? And you could use that to push me. Boom, right there. Boom. Well, I was thinking with this hand, because you would have had my arm right in there, right? So anytime you can get someone's arm into their chest like that, it's very difficult for them to defend. Because where do you go? I can sink, and that's about the best you can do, but you can't really turn. Yeah, and if you can do an explosive, you know, they're just not going to stop that. They're not going to stop that explosion. If I slowly push, you can offer some resistance.
But again, it's not helping.
Well,
The resistance is not helping.
nice. I got my toes up. That was good. Yeah. All right. What are you trying to do here? You know?
I'm trying to just sense.
Yeah, feel the chi, right? Feel the chi. And realize, yeah, there you go. That's nice.
Just to learn. Just to learn.
I mean, it's no good if I just sit and beat up on you. You know, I've been doing it a little bit longer, so it's not such a good point, right? So, yeah, go nice and slow, trying to get this energy, right? Okay, look at where you are. Yes. And if you can do more of an explosion instead of just a push, yes. Right, so getting that energy.
Of course, I cannot push you. You're so grounded. But this, for example, is a situation. Not this game. Close.
I mean, if you can get your hips facing me in a little different stance, it might be helpful. But the things to always think about, I don't have a leg here and I don't have a leg here. So these are the areas that I'm most compromised. I have a leg here and here, so pulling here, pushing here, not so easy. Pushing in this direction, not so easy. This way, yeah. This way, yeah. Right? So that's why across that middle is so dangerous. I should have given you that one because that was a good one. That was a good one.
Bounce back and throw me away.
Yeah, yeah. Salute your partner. Salute your partner and move on. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Right? Okay, you want the left foot forward? We can have the left foot forward. Right. So try not to look at the hands,
Yeah.
right? You can look over the shoulder, try to get that touch contact, try to keep it nice and loose,
Yeah.
and think about pushing a little bit on the other person, right? So not having our hands closed like this, have them open so that you can kind of use them. And if they're tight like this, it's like, yeah, grabbing isn't always the best if you have to. No, because if you do, I can use it against you. You know what I mean? The grab isn't, sometimes we have to grab, and sometimes if you know someone's going to strike, it's okay. But this is the crane part of it, where we don't use the thumb, and we use the hand kind of position. So this is the sticky, this is the tiger crane. This is the, yes, this is the crane aspect of the tiger crane art. Yes, yeah. So look, because we have good control there, right?
Yeah.
You know, so we have that touch contact, right? Moving around. And we're thinking circles. Yep.
Circles.
Yep. And yeah, that would have been good. With the right idea. And then there's this explosion. And what I mean by that is like, okay, I have you in position, boom, I explode. I get the energy through. Now, I've had some practice at this, so it's easier for me, but that's that springy power. Where contrary, if I'm here and I just start pushing on you, you moved your foot,
Yeah.
but if you didn't, you could just resist, right? And then that's not such good technique. So teaching ourselves how to move the other person, right? Yeah, except for staying in our ground.
Yeah.
If you can bring someone's hand like this, but keep your hand, you can use your hand, right? And now you've got my elbow now. If you drive through, I'll hold my thumb. Oh, no, that's nice.
So now I can use
Yeah, right, things like that. Because when people have their arm trapped across the front, it's very difficult to get out of it.
that's kind of where you want to be at this practice.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to get them off balance. So it's anyway, that's one technique. If people do this a lot, so in the morning, you weren't here, so it's pointless to bring that up. But one of the self-defense moves is an under, and then you do something like that. But we can apply that in here. Like, let's say my arm is really, boom, and now all you got to do is turn your waist. Yeah, this shoulder and the waist that way. Boom. And you have all the leverage. You don't have to use so much strength. It's really good against people, I'm not taller than you, but it's really good against people taller and maybe pushing down, and you'll notice their arms will flare out, and you can just do it very quickly, whoop, and you're here, and it's just, I don't even have to use my arm strength. So it's a way to beat people that are stronger. So good technique will beat strength every time, yeah. Now if they're strong and have good technique, that's a little problematic. But you see how I had your arm there? And it was really difficult for you to do anything. Now you could try to turn your whole waist and shift the energy here, and then use that shoulder coiled up and push me. Yeah. So there's ways to move the energy. Yeah, exactly. Obviously it's day one, so no one's expecting like Kung Fu mastery by any stretch of the imagination. But there you go. Yeah. Exactly. Learning some techniques. See, you're quick study. The biggest compliment is beating the teacher. For a teacher is for the student to beat them, right? And you can rotate around, right? But I do recommend keeping the hands somewhat open because it gives you this ability instead of like this, because then you're not really using the hands at all, but you can use the hands, right?
Like this, instead of using it? Or no?
You are, but now you've left this hand open,
Yeah.
so that's not so good.
That's not good because now if your hand is open,
When we do sticky hands, we're doing strikes. So this is the first stage, which is why we're only doing this, and we're not going to get into sticky hands today.
yeah, you want to make sure there's no hand available to strike.
Yeah. But you got to keep your feet stationary, right?
Yeah.
Okay, salute your partner. Like that, yeah. But we don't touch, but you can, it's okay. Actually, you want the right hand. Yeah. So, we're gonna go just a little bit more. If you want to do sticky hands with someone, but we have 3 people who don't have any experience with sticky hands, so if you want to go with tuba sticky hands, I recommend that right now.
Okay.
You two go sticky hands. Okay, yeah. And here, right? So, yeah. So watch your arm coming across the middle because it leaves you vulnerable because there's not much for you to go right there. Try to keep your feet flat. Your feet are moving all around. You're kind of doing this. Yeah, but we want to keep the feet stationary, right? And we shouldn't have to use really too much strength, but you can, right? We want to use. And now grabbing, you can do to hold yourself up, but it's not ideal. There's not really much advantage to grabbing.
But you have like your signature move going.
Yeah. That's one of them. Yeah. there you go. Except for you want to keep touch contact. So it's not very difficult to do that, right? For me to just relax, relax. It's not very difficult to just push somebody, but we want to keep touch contact. So if you're doing this and you just relieve that and do that, it's not very good technique. Yes, you can push me, but it's not very difficult to push somebody. We want to be able to push them by keeping contact. So right there, yes, right? And instead of pulling it in like this, extend it into the person like that. So vice versa. Turn and right here, and now explode, right? A push is going to be very difficult, but an explosion, like what I mean, so if I just start pushing on you, you can resist. You can resist, right? But if I'm here and I come in and I give you an explosion, that's very difficult to resist. Just quick movement, right? And that's springy power. It takes some time to get used to that. But this is what we want to think. And you can use that sinking as a counter. So we're not coming out, we're actually sinking and pushing at the same time. Yeah, it's a weird, yes, so not so dramatic, but yes, yeah, exactly. Because the chi's coming down and out. So that's stabilizing me, and I'm using that stabilization to then have the energy, the rest of the energy go out. Instead of, right? See, you weren't stable though, because your foot moved, right? That's what we want to avoid. And you want to be relaxed if possible, because when you're tense, I can just pull you, right? When you're relaxed, if you pull on me, right? Yes, you moved me, but if I'm tense and pull on me, my whole body's gonna move, right? Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. I look forward to future sessions. Thank you so much for joining us. We went a little bit over our time, but that's because we love practicing so much. Maybe someday you'll come join us. Let's line up. One line's fine. Or one row. This is always the hardest part. I kid you not, especially when there's like 15 people. It's quite difficult. Hands at our side, feet together, bow. All right, thank you everybody. Appreciate your energy, appreciate your help, Joe. And enjoy lunch. We'll see you all back here at 3:30. You as well. Have a good day, or good morning, or good evening, whatever the case might be.